What if I told you that one small neighborhood in Greenwich Village quietly shaped modern America? Its culture, its music, its freedom, and most people walk through it today without ever realizing what really happened here. At first glance, it feels like just another charming part of New York City. Tree-lined streets, cozy cafes, artists, students. But beneath that calm surface, this place has witnessed rebellion, heartbreak, creativity, and moments that changed history forever. And here's the first thing most people don't know. Greenwich Village wasn't even supposed to exist the way it does today. Unlike the strict grid pattern of Manhattan, this neighborhood's streets twist and turn almost randomly. That's because it used to be a separate village, literally outside the city. In the 1700s, when disease outbreaks like yellow fever hit New York, wealthy residents fled here to escape the chaos. It was considered a peaceful refuge, far away from danger, but over time, that escape became something else entirely. By the early 1900s, Greenwich Village transformed into a magnet for people who didn't quite fit in anywhere else. Writers, immigrants, freethinkers, and rebels. It became a place where society's rules didn't feel so rigid anymore, and that's when things started to get interesting. In the 1910s and 1920s, the village became the beating heart of radical ideas. Activists gathered here to talk about women's rights, labor rights, and free speech, topics that were considered dangerous at the time. One powerful but lesser-known truth: many early feminists and activists didn't just meet in big halls. They met in small apartments and hidden cafes right here, risking everything just to speak freely. Then came the artists. By the 1950s and 60s, Greenwich Village exploded into a cultural revolution. Music filled the streets. Poetry echoed through basements. And young dreamers came here chasing something they couldn't find anywhere else. A voice. One of those dreamers was a young man named Bob Dylan. When he first arrived, he was unknown, almost invisible. He played in tiny clubs for a few dollars, sometimes barely noticed. But in places like Washington Square Park, he found something powerful. An audience that cared about truth, about stories, about change. That's where his music began to carry messages of protest and hope. And from those small beginnings in Greenwich Village, his voice would eventually reach the entire world. But Dylan wasn't alone. Another young artist, Jimi Hendrix, also performed in the village before becoming a legend. Imagine that, walking into a small club and witnessing history before anyone even knew it was history. And yet, the most powerful story from Greenwich Village isn't about music, it's about courage. In 1969, something happened here that changed millions of lives. At a small bar called Stonewall Inn, police raids were common. At the time, being openly gay could cost you your job, your safety, even your life. One night, during yet another raid, something unexpected happened. People refused to stay silent. Instead of quietly leaving, they stood their ground. Protests broke out. Voices rose. Anger turned into resistance. That moment, now known as the Stonewall Riots, became the spark that ignited the modern LGBTQ+ rights movement. And here's what many people don't realize. It wasn't a planned revolution. It was ordinary people, pushed to their limits, deciding in one moment that enough was enough. That courage, born in a small corner of Greenwich Village, spread across the country, and eventually the world. But the village holds quieter, more emotional stories too. There's a tragic one connected to a place many people walk by without thinking twice: the site of the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire. In 1911, a fire broke out in a factory nearby, killing 146 workers, mostly young immigrant women. The doors were locked to prevent breaks, trapping them inside. Some jumped from windows to escape the flames. The tragedy shocked the nation and led to major changes in labor laws. But beyond the laws, it revealed something deeper: the human cost of ignoring workers' rights. And that pain is still part of the village's history. Over time, Greenwich Village became more than just a neighborhood. It became a symbol of standing up when it's dangerous, of creating when no one is watching, of finding identity in a world that tries to define you. Even today, you can feel it. Walk through Washington Square Park, and you'll see musicians performing, artists painting, strangers connecting. It feels alive in a different way, like the past is still whispering through the present. But here's something almost no one talks about. Greenwich Village has always been a place of contradictions. It welcomed outsiders, but also faced gentrification. It celebrated freedom, but saw struggle and loss. It created legends, but also forgot many who came before them. And maybe that's what makes it so real. Because it's not just a story of success, it's a story of people trying, failing, rising, and leaving something behind. So the next time someone walks through Greenwich Village and sees just cafes and quiet streets, they're missing the bigger picture. They're walking through a place where voices once trembled and then roared. A place where unknown artists became icons, where fear turned into resistance, where history didn't just happen, it was fought for. And maybe the most powerful part, that spirit hasn't disappeared. It's still there, in the music, in the people, in the energy of the streets, waiting for the next voice, the next story, the next moment that changes everything.